In almost every case I've seen now in that book so far, it's been like, oh, well, yeah, but you're supposed to hate this character, so fucking whatever. It's supposed to be a bad person. So it kind of doesn't bug me at all. Was... Sorry, that's really funny. That's really, really funny, though. That's really, really... I had to shorten his name to Glog. Glog Maneater. Yep. Not yep. That's like I can't say the word D-I-K-E. Or YouTube refuses to let me make any money from my YouTube streams. Like, YouTube just confiscates my money that I made during that YouTube stream if I say D-I-K-E. So sorry, Holland. I can't talk about your water-ocean battling system. I can't talk about dams. Yeah. Like, what the fuck, man? All right. My recording is queuing. Chat. That's not what I said. Although that probably wouldn't get me censored, actually, Diamond. Wait. Does it sound like they're saying cunt? Read, Hyena? Because that's really funny if that's the case. You call him Richard? That's also funny. Anyway. That's really funny. Read. That's really funny. It's like every Aussie on Earth. But anyway. So we are... plan for the week. That's where I was going with this. Today we're going to be continuing that new fort that we started yesterday. We generated a new world for it. The goal for the fort is listed in the Twitch chat if you type in ! Goal. As for the YouTube folks, we're messing around with dye, which I haven't quite gotten up and running yet, and I want to do a lot of different cloth. The bigger goal for the fort is to make monsters fight. We're on a very big mountain, on a very steep mountain, and we're pretty isolated, but not inaccessible. So we could be attacked by things on the outside. The map itself is calm, so we don't really have any threats with the outside world generally, outside of enemy armies and whatnot as the population grows. Now, my plan for today, for the stream, is we're going to play this probably until around 4:35. And then I'm going to play some runs of Jupiter Hell Classic, because I like that game and want to play more of it. But if I pronounce a word the way it's pronounced, Jesus, the English writing of it is just D-I-K-E. If I pronounce a word the way it's supposed to be pronounced in English, and it is exactly the same as a word that's also a slur, YouTube doesn't care how it's being spelled. So, robots don't have context. That's the problem. And Darmond, it's good to see you. Lack of context, exactly. As the old Twitch CEO got made fun of for a lot. Context! Intent! So, we got a crash. It sucks. But it is what it is. We are early spring. I have to redo a little bit of stuff, but it's nothing crazy. We also had a baby that was born. And when that baby's reborn, because I'm assuming it'll get born again, I'm going to give that baby a nickname because I gave it Sweaty Jr. was the name of the baby. Yesterday, we discovered a fun little family couple, which is Sweaty Poet and Sweaty Poet's husband. The reason I think that Sweaty Poet is kind of funny, and I named her Sweaty Poet because, so let me get rid of that. I named her Sweaty Poet because she wrote a poem. And that poem that she wrote is called The Cracked Lover. So she wrote this poem, The Cracked Lover, or Cracked Lover. And she wrote it, as you can see. It was authored by Tekid, Sweaty Poet, Moral Yanit. And it's a example of the sparkle of skirts. And it has no particular subject. And I thought that that was so funny because she has a husband and a lover, and her husband has her as his wife plus a lover. So clearly they're the cracked lovers. And I think that that's hysterical. So I took the opportunity to give her a nickname. So when she has a kid, I will give her kid another name. I need a unnamed bearded dwarf if available. This one. You can have this dwarf. Potpourri. And I will also re-enable the namings so somebody can like claim it immediately if you're paying attention. Good luck. I will say Arga really wants a dwarf, so if somebody wants to be kind and give Arga a dwarf, there's that as well. Also, tier 2 subscribers, assuming everything's enabled correctly, can also use the exclamation point dwarf to name something, whatever. Diamond. What would you like named? Vicar, hello, it's good to see you. 120, yeah. Potpourri does not generally respond to emotional appeals, has little interest in joking around, and does not easily develop positive sentiments. He often feels envious of others, and often acts with compassion. He acts with a narrow focus on the current activity, and is brave in the face of imminent danger. And he needs alcohol to get through the working day, and doesn't really mind being outdoors, at least for a time. You curved a canal off of a river and overflowed, and the river overflowed, and it literally flooded half the map. And I'm wondering, will the water cause a big flood in your world? Not really. It won't leave the edge of your map. However, if you visit that in adventure mode, it'll be actively flooding the area as you travel around in adventure mode. So basically, like, the flood resets when the area is left until you visit in adventure mode. And then you could stand there and it'll slowly be flooding while you're sitting there in adventure mode. But it's not actively flooding while you're playing fortress mode, if that makes any sense. The dwarf looks like Gaben. I was going to say, but Gaben doesn't have a beard that big, does he? He doesn't have a... I mean, he has, like, a small beard. But... Although I haven't seen any very recent pictures of Gabe Newell, so... he personally greatly respects those that observe decorum and maintain their dignity. It was Arga Manon. I'm not sure if they're in the chat at the moment. They're the number 10 sub-gifter, if you want to find their name. Would like a person to get a dwarf, and if possible, a green bed called the Goblin Jumping Castle. I mean, I could name that one of those two beds. There's two green beds on screen. Likes the sound of the flowery lutes and the sight of the shadow of rock, and when possible prefers to consume finger millet beer and hates leeches. You're married to Kib. Did I have a garden this year? I have 8 tomato plants on my porch, and I've been getting a small handful of tomatoes per day. Not as much as I would like, but they don't have that big of a root system. So the plan in my building is me and one of my neighbors want to buy some pretty big garden beds and put them on the roof. But we're waiting on confirmation from an engineer that the roof could handle the weight. And we just got confirmation that yes. So I'm going to spend like $1,000 on raised garden beds and build them on the roof in September. Looking forward to that, but, you know. Oh, and that'll probably get me more output than my patio, but currently the patio is all I have. Which has mostly been, what are they called? Words. Words are difficult. They've mostly been radishes. Wow, this dwarf's been in a lot of different locations, geez. Mostly radishes and tomatoes and lettuces. Greens. And then my lemon tree, which I repotted so it dropped all its fruit. And a giant fucking rosemary bush. Which is like a third of my porch right now. So I've been trimming it back a lot. Hopefully you're doing all right, Vicar. Hopefully you're doing all right. Okay, so you want to give a person a dwarf. who has a green-colored bed.
Oh, crypts arrive.
Goblin Jumping Castle. And then this is Lorbam. I think they stated no beer. Let me double check. I'll wait until they pop back in. Nimlark, thanks for the 27th month. Check, can I get a round of beers? I don't think we really have many mosquitoes here. At least I haven't run into any. Yeah. You go grow bell peppers? I mean, I wish I could grow bell peppers. I've grown hot peppers in the past. I've never successfully grown bell peppers. Well, I have, but you get like 2. I've never had good output from bell peppers. You're unable to get the sub list to check whose name it was? Yeah, it was this person. And I know that they wanted a lady dwarf, so I'll wait until they tune back in, and then we'll give them the read-through of this. YouTube folks, the first person to put 3 tree emoji into the YouTube chat can name an object or a dwarf or an animal. That's for the YouTube chat. You want to drop in and say you really enjoy the story vid? It's fun to watch. Working on some more. Well, working on a follow-up for the Jupiter Hell video and some more story vids. So this is the fortress currently. I'm gonna just dig out this entire layer, more or less, and then build like a dwarven city in here, and this is where all the workshops and stuff are gonna be. Down here is where we're gonna start up farming, and I want to build a bridge from here to here across this. And then on this side, I'm gonna build a big arena. Although I've been kind of thinking about maybe constructing part of the arena in this, like popping out of the mountainside, because this just looks too perfect. Yeah, it looks too perfect. I want to do something with this. So, yeah, that's the plan. And on 4, what would you like to name? Or what kind of dwarf would you like to name? If you'd like a dwarf, this is the list. If you'd like an animal, this is the list. If you'd like something else, let me know. Let's go back to dwarfs in case you want a dwarf. Hello, Hangman. You didn't say you were successful? Did you? How much did you get? The most success I've ever had is growing Arapaho peppers, which are basically like a bigger, hotter cayenne pepper. Those are very, very tasty. I really, really like those. You're caught up in work, but I think you got me regardless. Appreciate you in chat. Nope, I got you named. Potpourri, got you named. Sean Ranklin for the cat, and you want it to be a cat. Boy or girl cat? Boy cat, okay. Sean Ranklin is very stubborn and unfriendly and disagreeable and is bothered by this because he values friendship. Normal cat. He is inattentive to detail, checks out, in his own work, and he tends to make small mess with his own possessions, so he leaves the guts of the animals he murders strewn about, I guess. He doesn't mind wearing something special now and again, so he cleans himself. He is trusting, okay. Doesn't often feel envious of others. Well, yeah, they're not a cat, and he is. He does not easily hate or develop negative feelings. He's quick to anger, and he tends to be swayed by the emotions of others. He sometimes acts with little determination and confidence, and does not mind being outdoors at least for a time. That is very much a cat. I like the very stubborn and unfriendly and disagreeable and is bothered by it. That's the most cat. It doesn't say about him messing with others' possessions. Maybe he just presumes everything is his possession. Anyway, he feels blissful after a bath that he gave himself, and he's been gelded. Extremely cat, yes. Yes, definitely cat. Yeah, so the fort's pretty small right now. I think the main feature of this fort is this. This is my spiral entryway, which I need to be, building out. And I've got this iron gate here connected to this lever, so if something scary shows up, I can lock the door. Most of our livestock is pastured outside, so I can pretty easily lock things in. I need to check if this was before or after I removed blocks and bricks. This was before. Let's remove blocks and bricks so that they don't haul as much stuff to and from this. I'm going to work on this now. So if I click on this button, the game crashes sometimes. So I'm going to delete that, and then I'm just going to do this very carefully. That's a water source. I want it to be a pit pond. So now that I've done that, I'm going to quick save. You like the spiral? Thank you. It's going to be very inconvenient, but I also like the way it looks. You should watch the rest of the previous stream tomorrow, catch up with progress. At what point did you have to tune out? What was I working on? Because nothing crazy has really happened. I missed trading once, which was a bit of a bummer. And we got 2 migrant waves. Need to haul water from such a distance. Thankfully, they only need to do it once, right? Was this before or after I made buckets? I did not make buckets yet, so let's make buckets. Wooden bucket. And then also, this is my tavern that I'm in the process of making. There is an ad break up and coming, but when it hits, I will pause game. I think that's probably it. Oh, no. I actually got a couple extras. 3. Just need that. Just need that. For the outer ring, it's limestone, not granite. Granite's a slightly lighter color, I think. That or slightly darker. It's one of the two. It's a slightly different shade than limestone. And I'm just going to make this into a dining hall. So at the very least, now they have a place to go eat. And are you... No, you're making wooden bucket. I was going to say, are you putting away wood? But no, you are not. I'm just going to make a wood stockpile right here. Just get a bunch of wood inside. That's the other thing we're going to have to haul a lot of stuff in for. This is going to be a big mess until I slowly get things redistributed. Not long after you finish the character creator portion? Gotcha. Well, I mean, it's mostly just been construction. Vicar. I'm just going to pause the game until the ads are done. And good choice on the cat. And on 4. But chat, how's your week been so far? I had a pretty good stream yesterday. It's always nice to have a big crowd for the New Fort Day. Then in the evening, I died a bunch in Jupiter Hell Classic. My mind was just not in it, I guess. But maybe tonight we'll have some more luck. Today is probably going to be the longest stream of the week. And I'm going to take Friday off. I'm not going to stream on Friday because I need to get editing done. And I need to get as much editing done as possible. And this is my only, free weekend I have until next month. So I will be taking Friday off. I will be getting as much editing as I possibly can done. And the first week of next month, I will be taking a peek at the viewer, what's it called? Succession Fort as well. We'll have a lot of reading to catch up on. but it should be fun. Right, the ads should be done for everybody. Can unpause. The other nice thing is there is iron ore like everywhere. We have a lot of limonite. And I did give all of the starting 7 these chroma names. So the high chroma is the expedition leader. And probably needs an office at some point. I do also have a small squad, which is very much unfinished. Hopefully they will be useful at some point. Who's going to be reading the stream? Yeah. Should be fun. There's a lot of reading that'll need to be readed. I've been skimming it and loosely following it, but... It's been a week since Bismuth took the save and still no news. Yeah, if they don't respond by... Well, I was going to ping them this evening. I was going to say if they don't respond by tomorrow, then we'll just have to skip them. Which, you know, that's part of the risk of doing things like this, right? Is the water thawed yet? Yes, it is. This is slightly empty because it's where I've been filling those buckets. But most people are just, you know, putting stuff in stockpile, so that's fine. Solid day, but busy. That's good. I mean, hey. I'm just kind of happy. I don't know how chat feels about summer. There are elements of summer that I really, really like. I'm generally more of a fall and winter and spring person when it comes to favorite times of the year. Partially because work is better for me generally at those times of year, but also just because it's just, I don't know. I function better. I'm more creative. I'm better at getting things done. I feel like I'm a better person. I have an easier time working at that time of year, just kind of in general. So I'm very much looking forward to summer being over for that reason. Fall is your favorite season, lots to look forward to. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I mean, I like Oktoberfest. I like Halloween. I like a lot of that stuff, so. That's too hot. H-pull. That's too hot. Talking about how hot it gets in the summer. For me, it's not even like a temperature thing. I prefer the winter months. I even like camping more in the winter. Okay, so let's just check. Just working on limestone pots and buckets. I'm just going to go over here and brew some drinks. And brew some drinks. Yeah, we've got a child filling the pond, which is good. I mean, I don't mind the gray skies, like, at all. I think some people get... This says a lot about me as a person, and I'm kind of comfortable with it because I've accepted it. I don't find gray skies to be depressing. I find being made very clearly aware of how few friends I have depressing. In the summer, when the skies are gray, or in the summer when everybody's hanging around with large groups of friends, I feel very alone, and that's very depressing for me. In the winter, when there's less people outside, and more people are, like, hanging around indoors, I always feel less alone, and it's hard to explain why. But I don't find gray skies depressing at all. I really like the gray skies, actually. I've never been ice fishing. Schmidley sent in YouTube chat, but to me that just seems like a reason to sit in a hothouse on a lake. Just a lot of rain where you're at, which means the bugs in the house now. Oh yeah, that sucks. So now I go here and I click this button, not this button. And then wait for them to fill the next pond. You had grayish sky on your wedding day. It was pretty. It was very sunny on my little sister's wedding. Your blue eyes only shine in oceans of gray. There you go. Weather matches my mood better? Not really though, because like, how do I put it? I think I'm just better at socializing with people I don't know in certain settings. And I think that the ways that I personally like socializing and the amount that people are, or the way people are in public is different in the winter than it is in the summer, if that makes any sense. Like, I have a much easier time talking to people I don't know in the winter because I couldn't even really tell you why. It's just the way I've always been. Overcast is the best weather for photography. I like drawing clouds a whole lot. But yeah, it's not that I'm necessarily like in a grim mood a lot. Like even in the summer, like I'll be in a good mood sometimes. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I have more friends in the winter, I guess. Which, like, you know, is entirely past the point, really. This can also go away. The bike trails are less crowded outside of summer? I don't really care either way. A crowded bike trail is a good thing to me, because that just means people are using it, and people using the bike trail is good. I have no issues with the bike trails being crowded. Let's just work on conglomerate blocks. Also, those chinchillas are not tame. They've just wandered into the fort, which is always fun. Do I think the internet made antisocial behavior worse? Or do I think it made it more viable? I mean, I'm weird, right? I don't know. Because I don't know how most people think. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not antisocial because of the internet. I'm antisocial because I was raised in the middle of nowhere and never had any friends, right? I was very isolated as a kid. Like, my parents did their best, but, like, you know, me and my sister, this isn't a secret, me and my sisters were homeschooled. And we grew up in the country. So, like, the nearest kid my age was a 45-minute bike ride up a hill away, right? And he moved away at a point before I moved out. So, like, I got to see other kids that weren't my immediate family once a week, maybe. Later on in life, twice a week. Or eventually when I joined sports, 3 times a week. And by that point, everybody already had their cliques and knew people, and so I was always the weird kid. So I spent my whole life being isolated, and I've gotten better at it as an adult. Much better at it. I actually have friends now. But I'm still not great at it. So I think I'm just, like, antisocial because of how I've spent my whole life. More or less. I wouldn't say that I'm asocial or anything. A lot of people like to put labels on stuff. And whenever I, like, look at these strict definitions of those labels, it, like, doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I wouldn't describe myself as an introvert, really. I also wouldn't describe myself as an extrovert. I would describe myself as a bit of a wallflower, but mostly because I just don't care. I'm more just, like, Yeah, I don't know. Antisocial out of habit, maybe more than anything. That's also true, Dadrick, right? Like, making friends as an adult is really hard. And if you lose all of your friends at a point, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild that circle. Like, I've learned over the years that my dad's at the exact same situation as me. Like, when my older sister was born, my dad's few friends disappeared basically because like none of them had kids. It's like my dad's never really had a lot of friends, and he's in a very similar boat to me, except the fact that he's got my mom, right? You just don't like most people, and that's your label for yourself. My label for myself is I don't have a lot of friends, but I know a lot of people, right? Like, especially through this job, I know a lot of people, but I have very few friends. And I think, like, my job actually, like, doing this for a living makes my habits worse. Like, it certainly is, like, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways where, like, because I kind of don't trust people because of my job, I'm much less likely to talk to people because I don't like telling people what I do for a living. I think that's maybe the biggest, like, especially people my age. Older people I don't mind so much. Like, if I tell somebody in, like, their 50s or 60s what I do for a living, they just kind of act confused and curious, which is generally fine, and I can talk about it, like, explain it. When I tell people my age what I do for a living, they ask me how they can make money on their Instagram account, which I don't fucking know, and I don't really care. So I tend to try and avoid the conversation of what I do for a living, so that, like, certainly doesn't help. Yeah, I'm not antagonistic towards others. I like being social. I'm usually the person that will just go sit in a social space and then keep to myself. If that makes any sense. Cringe, Josh. Like, I spend a lot of time in coffee shops working, but, like, I will just, like, sit quietly to myself and, like, type on my laptop and then read my book after a bit. I will go out for brunch pretty frequently, and I will quick save again because I don't trust this to not crash the game. I will go out for brunch pretty frequently and speak to the person working there briefly and then sit there for 2 hours and read my book. Just to be in public spaces. Like, I like being in public spaces. I like being around people, and I like talking to people. I just don't ever want to tell people what I do for a living. To the point where, like, I will be, like, there's probably people out there who think that I'm a criminal or, like, some sort of psychopath because of how much I talk around what I do for a living. Most of the dwarves are filling buckets. But, like, here's the thing. Like, if you look up the definition of asocial, it, like, doesn't fit me at all, really. Because, like, on a rare occasion when I do get to know people, I never shut up. Like, I am a very social person if I trust you, but I don't trust most people. If that makes any sense. So I don't know. I kind of just don't like labels, I guess. Like, I think of myself as a very social person. But, like, I'm just cautious with who I talk to and how I talk to them, I guess. Okay, we just got one more that needs a bucket, which is now done. And done. So now I can go down here and build these floors along here. And I can go here. And I can place a farm plot all the way along. Look at that. I'll tell you this, Potpourri. When I first started streaming for a living, I was horrible at events. I mean, I don't think being paranoid about what people in positions of fame and or power do is a very healthy way to live your life, Bones Jonesy. Like, of course there's bad people in the world, but if you're presuming that all people are that bad, that's just unhealthy. Sweaty Poet has given birth to a girl who I'm going to name Sweaty Jr. And she says, Data. Congrats to the happy couple and the cracked lovers. You know, like, I don't know. I think that... Oof, all of the, like, harsh topics today. I think something that I try and do very specifically, Bones, is... And this is just, like, for this job, right? I try to presume incompetence instead of malice. And if you presume that everybody is the worst possible version that they could be, you're going to have a really tough time in life. Do babies have personalities from birth? Yep. It's a combination of their parents, but they change pretty quickly. So she shares intimate details of her life that were thought to repercussions of property, lives a orderly life, organized and neat, and she can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings, likes to take it easy, and is not particularly curious about the world, has a tendency to go it alone without considering the advice of others, which is fair, it's a baby, and is stubborn and tends to be a little wasteful when working on projects, occasionally overindulges, and does not have a great aesthetic sensitivity. She is conflicted by this as she values artwork and its creation. Basically, it takes the parents and then, like, averages it between the two of them. You're going to a meeting? I'll be back when you can. Cheers. Moreb and Bones, if you guys would like to just continue this discussion, could we take it into DMs? Mostly because, like, I don't want to talk about this for the next 90 minutes. And it's going to turn into that if you two keep talking in the public chat. Please and thank you. Pigtails, and let's do, actually, let's do sweet pods instead. I like sweet pods. You're getting a new fridge freezer? I kind of want a new fridge. Mine's too big. But I need somebody who could take my gigantic fridge. I think bouncing off something that Jade Bond in YouTube chat said is, for me, especially when it comes to being social, labels make me it becomes a subconscious self-fulfilling reality. If that makes sense. Or self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess is maybe the better word to use. Like if I think of myself as something constantly, then I become that thing. If I don't think of myself as something constantly, I don't become that thing. Just make a bunch. Let's make 30 wool bags. Or yarn bag. I am a single guy, and this is a fridge that's big enough for like a family of 5, maybe more. And I can't reach the cupboards above it because of how big the fridge is. I store a lot of canned things that I would put in the cupboards above it because I can't reach the cupboards above it because of how big the fridge is. If I had a smaller fridge, I could use the cupboards above my fridge without grabbing a stool, which would be nice. So I would like a smaller fridge. That sucks. I don't know what Boast is. Is that a brand still? Yeah, so we didn't get any migrants this season, I presume because I failed to trade the first time, so. Here's hoping I don't fail to trade a second time. I also want to make a jeweler's shop and start cutting gems and encrusting stuff. also still brewing drinks from plants, which is good. And then I'm going to make... I don't want these here for right now, but we'll do that anyway. We're going to shear a bunch of sheep and get their yarn harvested. Cannot figure out why you're struggling to get through an aquifer without flooding the staircase. You've watched your video guides a couple times. Are you on a heavy aquifer? Or a varied aquifer? Or a light aquifer? Would be my first question. When it comes to light aquifers, you just need... It needs to be the only thing you're really working on. Channel down into it. Smooth the walls. Or build walls, then channel down into it. Or not... like, build stairs down into it. Like, you kind of just need to work on it and get it done. If it's a light aquifer, if it's a heavy aquifer, settle somewhere else. So you're down about 5 layers and just still hitting damp walls. Oh, just keep going. It could be like 30 layers deep. Or it could be 10 layers deep. Or it could be 4 layers deep. Or 9 layers deep. The depth varies very wildly depending on how much rainfall is in the region that you are building. So if you're building in a region that has a lot of rainfall, you will be getting a lot of aquifer, potentially. If you're in like a marshy area, like a swamp, you'll get a lot more aquifer than if you're in a desert. That's just how aquifers work. They vary in depth. So if you are successfully getting through it, just keep digging, and eventually you'll get through it. And then once you get through it, go 2 layers down. Another thing that could be happening is if there's water on the stairwell where you're digging, it'll say that the water below is damp. The level below is damp, even if it's not. So if there isn't water coming from the walls, wait for a little bit for all the water to dry up and then dig another layer down and see if there's still water there. Because if you've smoothed all the walls and filled in all the holes and just dug a vertical staircase, the stairs won't leak. So if there's like 1 deep of water at the bottom, just wait until it dries. So there's no way to go through... Oh, there's plenty of ways to go through heavy aquifers. It's just too complicated to explain verbally. If you're new enough to be having trouble with the light aquifers, do not even try. To give you an idea, I have a hard time getting through heavy aquifers. I know how to do it. I know the old strats, and I know some other strats. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's like pumps or pistons is what you need. You either need to drop stuff in them, or you need to pump stuff out. I mean, draining oceans is easier than getting through an aquifer. Or than getting through a heavy aquifer. Specifically. You built a floating platform library with tables facing out, and I keep finding books on the first floor. Do some dwarves just throw books? I mean, they can pick them up and throw them if they tantrum. I don't know why you would be finding them a floor below. I mean, if you have a lot of visitors, they'll sometimes carry books around and then drop them. I'm not totally sure. What the circumstances of books showing up on a layer below go. I mean, maybe they're teleporting, but that shouldn't happen. I mean, sometimes weird things can definitely happen, but... Okay, so this right here is going to be assigned as a tavern. Except I'm just going to limit visitors for right now. And I'm going to make Potpourri and Sweaty Poet into tavern keepers here because they're both very funny and good at talking. Well, they said that they have a library with tables facing out. Oh, wait, do you have chairs? Yeah, if you have less water, if you have less rain, Jesus, then you get less aquifers. There are chairs. Okay, good. Because I was thinking that they might be like using tables at weird angles. They just kind of pick an angle if there is no chairs, so. And Rolf, it's good to see you. How are you doing? Start cutting gems. Actually, let's just do this on a repeating order. Cut 10 gems, and I'll just repeat this monthly if the number of rough gems is bigger than 10. Actually, if the number of rough gems is greater than 25. Just so that I have some extras lying around. How is Dwarfing? Pretty good. Pretty good. How is Rolfing? Not too much has happened. I've just got my farm set up again. That's about it. We're brewing drinks from Longland Grass. And I'm not currently making any dyes, but... I mean, currently I just don't have any empty bags to make dyes with. And I just need to make a clother's shop so that we can create some bags. There's a Wolverine outside. Yeah, I've got the queued up job to make yarn bag, but I actually need the dwarf to be around. I'm thinking up here, well, maybe not up here, down here in this area is where I would like to put my manager's office. So I'm going to move this stockpile, this trading thing over a bit, probably. I'm also going to get rid of some of these. By some of these, I mean all of these. So the trading depot is going to get moved down here. I'm sorry, what? Decouplets? Ago the surgeon has given birth to decouplets? How many is that? What's a decouplet? Wait, actually, hold on. Romanoid, who I think posted that. I've got streamer mode on. Was it Romanoid? Whoever posted that. That's probably a mod, right? It's got to be like the rodent people or something. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, no, it's definitely a mod. That's not possible for dwarves, but that makes a lot more sense. Absolutely a mod doing that. That's 10? A decouplet is 10? Okay. I mean, I knew what an octuplet was, but... It must be heavy. Romanoid? I've seen triplets. Once. Twins are possible, but it's like 1 in 250 or something, and triplets are like 1 in 500. We looked at the numbers once. Stone probably knows off the top of their head. Okay, let's just get rid of that. Build this. We're in an ad break, so I will pause the game. No, I can't remember what Torrent said. Yeah, because he looked up the numbers, didn't he? It was one of the times we got Torrent to actually open up the code during an interview. And he went and looked at like what are the odds of a dwarf having triplets. Yeah, that is entirely too many children to have to carry, though. 10? Jesus. I feel bad for that Ratman. YouTube folks, don't forget to leave a like on the stream. It does help. We're currently at 75 people watching and 41 likes, so some of you have yet to like the stream. And thanks to the 176 of you here on Twitch tuned in. Appreciate you. Which means we're over 250. I need to add the numbers of people watching up between the two platforms more in my head, because it helps keep my spirits up. Because there's a lot of people that watch on the YouTube streams these days, especially when new forts start. So thanks to all those of you who tune in. I mean, like yesterday between Twitch and YouTube, we had about 600 people watching at one point, which is kind of a lot considering the average player base of this game is like Well, I mean, according to public stats, so not including anybody who's playing either the free version or the itch version or with their account set to private. But it's like, 1,200 people at peak times during the day on a weekday. It's like half the people who play the game are watching my stream, which is kind of crazy. So thank you, for tuning in and watching. Multiple litter, rare means rare. Yeah, it's like, I want to say it was 1 in 500 and 1 in 250 for twins and triplets. You watch more than you get to play. That's true. I mean, hey, that's probably a lot of video games these days. I mean, if you look at the total number of people watching Counter-Strike versus the total number of people playing Counter-Strike on a given day, it's not that far gone either. Oops. I thought I hit the right button. I didn't. I got 3 left. What's up, Mina? Your dwarf's still around if you'd like to know. And a devilish potato. No complaints so far today. Although I'm sure I could find something to... All right, yeah. My thumb hurts. I must have been gripping my thumb like this in my sleep, so my thumb hurts. Aside from that, I'm good. As chat was saying, I was punching demons in my sleep. Or is playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots in my sleep. Yeah. What Wilhelm said. There are knockoff Kool-Aid branded Pop Rocks in the candy dish at work. Sure. Farmer with beard. No. The only farmer who's left doesn't have a beard. Please don't be specific. I only have 18 dwarves. And half of them have been named Dawkins, so just pick one from the list. That's all I can really do right now. There's a doctor with a beard. I think that might be it. Yeah, there's a doctor with a beard. Would you like the lady dwarf who's a milker? Then? Dalkin? So you like Zulban? This one? It's quality entertainment while you're working? Well, thank you. Unavailable. Lady, okay. Okay. Just confirming. You're married too, Dalkin, so congratulations. I like being able to say that to viewers. Congratulations, you're married to Kib, who's the doctor. She wants a little excitement. She's frustrated after being able to pray. She is very quick to anger and not readily moved by art or natural beauty. She is conflicted by this. She values artwork and its creation. She is stubborn and doesn't focus on material goods. She prefers that everyone lives as harmoniously as possible, and she tends to be a bit stubborn in changing her mind about things. She is rarely happy or enthusiastic, and she is conflicted by this as she values parties and merrymaking in the abstract. She isn't given to flights of fancy, and she doesn't handle stress well. She generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity, and she generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity, and she tends to reveal personal information. She sometimes acts with a little determination and confidence, and generally acts impartially and is rarely moved to mercy. She often snaps her fingers when she's bored, and she needs alcohol to get through the working day and doesn't mind being outdoors at least for a time. She dreams of creating a great work of art and personally respects the development of a skill. She values loyalty and doesn't particularly respect commerce, and she doesn't particularly care about craftstore-ship. Also, Metalburn is a good last name, yeah. And she dreams of creating a great work of art. She likes microcline and lead, as well as fortification agate and jute fabric and the color taupe. Male shirts, flasks, and water buffaloes for their wallowing. And giant gazelles for their grace. And the words of the early dress and the sound of the flowery lutes. And when possible, prefers to consume steelhead trout and parsnip wine and bayberries and absolutely hates moon snails. She's a former member of the Narrow Axe, and she's a member of the Fated Cult because she worships the god of death, and she's a member of the Mountain of Dyes, which is this fortress here. Yeah, that is a cool second name. Metalburn? And thanks for the likes, YouTube folks. Appreciate you. Just trying to get this tavern paved, and then we'll make a temple. I'm thinking about making the temple kind of up here. So actually, something I could do is set this to priority 3 maybe, and just kind of chisel out some of this. Let's also throw some bedrooms here. Here, and maybe here. I was kind of thinking like maybe I could fit another one in this back bit here, but I don't think so. Should be fine. Should be fine. So you got some nice news today after meeting with the boss. It sounds like the school lawyers be lawyering, and because the school isn't the one shutting down the funding, you don't have to give any back, so you have a job for 4 months longer than December 31st. I mean, hey, that's 4 more months of pay, right? I presume you'll get severance when shutdowns actually happen, right? I mean, take the work if you can get it, right? It gives you more time. It gives also more time for the geriatric moron in charge to, maybe senile is the word I should use. Senile old man in charge to change his mind. So there's that. Although I wouldn't hold out hope. One could hope. Yeah, naturally. They're over here just making all those blocks. Well, this dwarf over here is simulating an Udar. Curious, what is an Udar exactly? Need a blowpipe, a pipe, and a wind chest. Let's check the craftsdwarf shop. Yeah, I guess that's all stuff that I don't have access to. They do have nogs, though, so I guess in theory one could make an eggnog. Also, they're chanting and simulating Udar. Maybe I should import some Udars. If I scroll down... What song are they playing? It Must Have Been Courage is an example of the flowery lutes. So they're playing It Must Have Been Courage. And they do seem to be really enjoying it. It's some sort of instrument. It's also a League of Legends character, I think, right? Udar is a League of Legends character, right? I'm not making that up. Pretty certain of that. You lose it when the nog drops? No, absolutely, same. If there's snails on the moon, they must be eating a lot of the cheese that's up there. Wallace and Gromit told me that. Unavailable says, this is the first fort that I've seen built live, and I really like being able to hear you kind of talk about your future plans and really enjoy your videos. You can't wait to come see you on Twitch. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe work blocks Twitch, but I was going to say you can always like watch on the YouTube stream and then type in the Twitch chat if you can connect to the Twitch chat, but... Oh, that's Udyr. I was close. I was close. It's been a long time since I've played League of Legends. Like, a very long time. Actually, just going to check something. Just type in rock blocks. Let's just make 150 of those. And once that pops up here, I will just get rid of this task. Yeah, right there. So I can just clear out a bunch of this conglomerate. I actually don't mind the color of it. I think it looks quite nice. Which is pretty rare for me, actually. Let's wait for him to leave that workshop. Anytime this week. I need like 2 or 3 more sets of blocks. But yeah, because it has a blowpipe and stuff, it's probably some sort of handheld wind instrument. And there we go. Tavern be done. Well, at least the first iteration of it be done. Always have a bunch of interesting... Yeah, all of the... instruments in Dwarf Fortress worlds are unique to that world, although sometimes you see the same names pop up, because I think there's only so many things they can name them. But the game does try to create unique instruments for each world, so you usually get some pretty healthy variety there, although they tend to kind of fit into archetypes of like wind instruments, handhelds and non-handheld instruments, stationary instruments, drums, those kinds of things. So you'll obviously see similarities between them, but usually they at the very least have different names. And then the way that they're made and the materials that they're made out of varies pretty wildly. Which means I'll bet you that with mods you could probably make custom ones now, because I think that's one of the things that the Lua stuff exposes, or one of the generation code engines that Lua exposes. For more names? Okay. That makes sense. I'm going to go use the washroom. I'll be back in a moment. Monophones and vibraphones, if you remember your music degree. Those all sound like different types of instruments. So there's that. What you gobbling about? Devilish. All right, population moods seem to be normalizing a little bit now that they can socialize, which is good. As for the most upset dwarves in the fort still, yeah, they just want to pray. So let's go down here and prep some more bedrooms just in case. And then I'm going to go over here, thinking like maybe right here for the general temple. I haven't actually built like a temple complex in a really long time. My temples recently have just been very much like it's a building. And then maybe I'll just add more buildings to it with time. But I'm thinking about not doing that this time. And instead like trying to make a modular thing that I can add more buildings onto to make like a temple complex. Like making the generic anything goes temple be the entrance and then adding more on as needed. You were too slow for being gone. I mean, I was under a minute. I even washed my hands. Okay.
Woo!
I think I'll actually dig through that because I want them gems, but I'll replace these with blocks. Guess we'll use the conglomerate. Also have to knock out this, since I'm kind of planning to do that anyway. Well, now they're locked in, so they'll just have to dig their way out, I guess. And then over here, let's throw in some more doors. And just go bed, bed, bed. Because I've already got unused and unclaimed beds. Probably not, no. I would say that CDDA is a bit too much of an open world survival crafting game for me, and I always found it to be kind of a lot in a bad way. And does making your strongest militia fighter the champion sound like a good idea of your dwarf fort? The champion is a weird role because they don't really have any purpose right now. All they do is they kind of just go train with your dwarves, but they give you like a bonus to training speed. So I like to make a dwarf into the champion who was once in the military and then was removed from the military, not due to like, I don't know, insubordination or being bad at it, but then later removed from the military because they got injured in some way. So that's usually what I end up using them for. Let's encrust finished goods with cut gems until I run out of them. But yeah, CDDA isn't really my cup of tea. I do want to play some Cogmind, though. I've been, like, meaning to get back to Cogmind for a bit, actually. So that's probably what I will go back to once I'm waiting for back into the cycle of waiting for patches for Jupiter Hell, is I would like to play some Cogmind. Emperor Iron, it's good to see you. It's going all right. Yourself? Should make the floor in the circle look like a flower. I was going to put a pattern in there. Another thing I kind of want to do is because we are Colorbeard, is I want to draw a big dwarf somewhere and make it its beard colors. Multiple colors. Cogmind. I think I missed the rest of the answer when Fort started playing them. Absolute banger. I'll repeat myself. The champion is a weird role because all they do is they go to your dwarves who are training and they help them train faster, basically. If they're in a squad, they give you like a bonus to training. I usually just assign the champion to like a retired militia dwarf. I don't want my currently best militia dwarf to do that role. I want it to be somebody who like got injured in combat and is no longer in the militia. But it's kind of a weird roll because it doesn't really work properly right now. And also you lose the ability to have it if you're... or the other thing that I'll do with it sometimes is like, I'll put the champion in a squad with my royalty and make it into like the... How do I word this? The place where the royal dwarves train. So like my queen will train with them, if that makes any sense. We're low on food. I don't really have any plans to breed yaks. Also, I only have 2 male yaks. So I think I'm actually going to slaughter the 2 male yaks and just real quick make a butcher shop and a tanner right next to each other. Because that'll catch me back up in the food supply. And I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to make process plants. I'm just going to, I'll just set it to 10. And then, boom. When there's at least 10 unrotten processable plants, please process plants. And we'll see what they start processing. Yakety clack indeed, yes. My fortress is out of food. Oh no! Anyways, we'll sort that out. Give it a sec. Bitter vetch. What's that get me? I actually don't know what that gets me. Bitter vetch leaf. I presume... that's used for dyes? And then the other thing I want to do is make dye. What? Oh, I can't queue up the generic dye. Dye cloth, dye threads. Okay. Well, let's just make pear leaf dye, assuming there's available bags, which there probably ain't. Nope, there is. We're still making yarn bags. Actually, no, we're okay for dye. And then make dye. Let's make peach bark dye. And make dye. Let's make... let's make the 2 of those. It looks like a legume? Interesting. You're still new, you started the game this week. Your drinks are always low. You set your dwarves to gather and farm. You already disabled them to be used for wood. What can I do to keep up? With drinks? If you queue up a drink like this, and it cancels, read what it says up here in the cancellation options. Do you have empty containers for booze? Because you need to make barrels and you need to make pots. So if you're not able to keep up, all of your barrels and pots might be full. Make sure that you have a supply of empty barrels or pots. I have rock pots, which are kind of everywhere. They're made out of, at a craft store shop, but at a carpenter shop, you can make barrels. That would be my assumption as to why you're not able to keep up with it. Yeah, also what Romanite said about the champion is something like a bodyguard for the person in charge is also something that a lot of people use them for, the champions. Yeah, looks like we're doing a lot of stuff with bitter vetch. I've actually never seen bitter vetch before, so this is a new one for me. Okay, so this is peach leaf. And then let's also do a mix. Oh boy. I really wish it said what type of dye it was. So what color does pear leaf make? Actually, here, let's go up to here and just type in dye. Got peach dye, which is amber. And I've got pear leaf, which is ecru, so like a beige. So if I go here and I type in mix dye, mix amber, I guess I can't. Let's go mix dye, mix. This is me messing with the system for more or less the first time. Mix with. Oh, wait a second. I see. Mix is very messy. You're always crafting barrels for loot stockpiles? How many? You have 16 dwarves and you can't keep up with the alcohol content. Yeah, something's wrong. It really... Oh, actually, are you making meals? Grandel? Because if you're making meals, under kitchens, if you go to the drink section, they will cook your booze. So you might want to disable this. They might be cooking your alcohol. That's the other thing that I can think of. If it's not barrels, and if it's not like plant amount, then it's possible they are cooking your alcohol. We're about to run out of food again, speaking of. Do I have 2 babies? Oh shit, I got another baby. Where are your parents? Zachris and Stodier. Yay! 2 babies. So young you don't even have a beard yet. Ain't that adorable? Shout outs to baby.
Cheese for everyone!
Can you assign colors in uniforms? I haven't gotten that deep yet, mate. I presume so. Yep. Although I don't think you can dye metals, so I guess that would be limited to like leather? Or like clothing? If you like put robes or something as part of a uniform? What? Wait, you want them to cook the cheese. Cooking the cheese makes it into a better meal. Like, seriously, speaking of cheese, I should make cheese. I've got enough buckets. Actually, how many sheep do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 4 and 4. Do it monthly. Do it monthly. And we'll just let that run. I mean, it's like pink, like purple, and then the brightest green you can find for Synthwave Squad is like what you need, right? We're also in an ad break, so I'm just going to queue up some constructions. And then this right here is going to get a table and a throne. This is going to be my manager's office, which I'm assigning now because we're about to hit 20 dwarves. Oopsies. Oh, made that a meeting area, not an office. Look at me, being good at the video game. I know what I'm doing. Question was who was my manager? Manager's Unk. You. It's just also a chromite. I think they were actually cooking his booze. Because, like, you know, if you're new to the game and you are, like, having max output at all times, it's very possible that they just, like, completely surpassed everything. Also need a bookkeeper, which I'm going to give to my broker. So my broker now needs a office as well, who will get a smaller office in, well, I'll give him an office down here. Why not? Make it a slightly better office than it would be otherwise. Actually, let's just do this. These two. And that can be where the broker office goes. It's okay that it's currently overlapping. It'll stop after a while. Okay. That's kind of the idea. And I was also going to make this into a dining hall right here. Also, currently all the dwarves are busy gathering plants because, you know, we were hungry. We're also milking his animals. What I always do wrong is I assign all your goblets to the tavern, and while you have no tavern keeper leaving. Yeah, also, if all your goblets are in a tavern and you don't have a tavern keeper, then the goblets become inaccessible. You have an underground farming anomaly. Planters will not plant. You check the box, then unpause, and it pops back. Okay, planters will not plant. I have a question. Where is that option? Might be another. You don't have this checked and this checked, do you? So you have these two checked, that'll cause issues with farming. Or alternatively, you might just be out of seeds of the type of thing that you're looking for. Because only farmers harvest. If you have no farmers, then that'll cause problems. And it's very possible that they're not all running into issues, or if auto farm is breaking things. Yeah, I'm not very good at like answering questions with DF hack problems because I don't use any of the automations from DF hack because I find they cause more problems for me than they solve. You didn't know that either? You'll make extra? I mean, I usually put a stockpile in my tavern for goblets if I don't want to use the tavern keepers. Generally, is what I do. I'm milking these sheep, by the way. We're making sheep cheese. So we're filling up these buckets with milk and then making cheese. And I'm presuming that my broker is probably, once they're done gathering plants, who also has a ton of lovers, by the way. Once she's done gathering plants, I'm carrying all these alfalfas and acorns back inside. Should have a bunch more options for things. Let's make dye. What else do I have access to now? Let's make raspberry dye, because that's a fun color. I should have bags available, fingers crossed. I'm also going to need to queue up a lot of seeds for cooking. Yes. No more migrants this season. I need to make sure we trade next season. That's absolutely mandatory. 100% mandatory that we trade next season. All right, so I think the first kind of fully functional thing I'm going to make is a clothing manufacturing area. So I will get all of that siphoned out of this structure. But first, I would like to finish making this temple. But now that they've had time to make some blocks, let's get some color variety in here. Well, actually not that much color. Actually, maybe I should do like wood color variety. Oh, that, or you know what I could do? I could be a little silly. Do I want to be silly, chat? I want to be silly. Because I've got malachite. I'm just going to assign this malachite. Oh, also we have marble. I've got 2 kinds of flux. Holy shit. I'm just going to assign this malachite to be used as bricks. And I'm going to specifically make malachite blocks. Because I want them colors. I want them colors. I desperately want them colors, and I love the color of malachite. I will probably melt down some of it, but we are going to be mining out that malachite. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go probably like right here somewhere. I'm going to make that little stockpile. I'm also going to remove the corners. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in wooden wheelbarrow. Always take the option to be silly. True. True, true, true. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this center stockpile, initially just for malachite, but I will expand it out into other stone types. And I'm going to put maybe 6 wheelbarrows into it, and there will be 2, maybe 3 quantum stockpiles attached to it that will divvy up the stone types into different little containers. Let's also throw a spin thread onto you. And maybe a spin thread onto you. So, Stodier, what are you up to? Oh, you're eating. Because, like, you have an office. You are my bookkeeper. Once done eating, and drinking, apparently, you should, hopefully, go manage your work orders. I was very happy about learning about dying, though. You know, I do often recommend that new players don't worry about things like DF hack initially, at least for like the first 20 hours, just so that you understand what the vanilla game is asking you to do. Unavailable in YouTube chat. And then once you've kind of understood what all the vanilla mechanics are, then if you want, supplement certain mechanics that bother you with DF hack. If you just learn the game with DF hack, you're going to learn in a lot of bad habits and not know entirely what the game is asking of you all the time, which might be okay if that's what you're aiming for or what your desired outcome is. Personally, I think that I've seen a lot of people learn the game in ways that are kind of the antithesis of how the game is designed, which makes it difficult if for some reason DF hack isn't updated or compatible for a while. And also, you'll end up with a better understanding of the game if you at least spend some time playing vanilla. So just a word of advice, like if you don't want to heed my advice, that's totally fair. But if you are looking for things or confused by stuff, it's possible that you've just developed habits that will make the game harder because of overusing DF hack, but you do you. This is just going to be for Malachite right there. Let's just make a minecart. Oh, that's a craft workshop. Also probably need to put a new carpenter in here because I deleted the other one. Yep. Uh, 1,500 hours in here. A lot of time AFK, but maybe I have not. I still haven't tried out DF hack. I mean, I don't know if you should get a pat on the shoulder. Think about it this way, Athiok. It's like learning enough, like, commands in an Elder Scrolls game to be able to autocomplete a quest that broke for some reason. That's kind of what it is, in my opinion. Oopsies, no, that's not what I wanted. That's kind of the way it ends up working, in my opinion. So it's entirely up to you if that is something that you want to play with or without, right? Like some people get through Elder Scrolls games with never, you know, auto-completing a quest. It can be used to fix bugs, and it can be used to make the game more pleasant in situations where it breaks, which does happen, because no game is perfect, right? That being said, there are times where it's good to know why a game is doing something, even if you might find it annoying. That's all. Also would like to mine that out because it's bothering me. Also that too, unzipped water. Like, you know, there are times where someone will be having a problem with Dwarf Fortress, and I will tell them how to fix the problem, and then someone else will tell them how to unexist the problem with DF hack, which that can be fine. Like, there is no real issue with you taking a problem with the game and unexisting it with DF hack. However, then that person no longer knows how to play the game and avoid that problem without the use of DF hack to begin with, which is probably better for a gameplay knowledge purposes. But, you know. Why is wool in here? Oh, wait, no, that's fat. Okay. Yeah, it's like, it's a last resort to fix a problem. Mostly. Exactly what Long Tom Jr. said in YouTube chat. But for new players, it makes sense to play vanilla and then enable DF hack features as you understand why you need them, if you feel you need them. But you also need to remember that my kind of bias about being cautious with DF hack comes from an era of Dwarf Fortress where there was a lot of DF hack scripts that could brick your entire save file. And so if I seem like I'm overly cautious or anything, that's part of the reason why. Is I am a little bit worried sometimes about what a DF hack script is going to do to my save, because I've had saves completely destroyed by DF hack, like as in game crashes, can't reload. So for years, the way I learned this game was I would play it. I'm gonna take my broker. Why are you not updating stockpile records? Hold on, I've got a problem here. Needs office. You have an office. Oh, I see where I fucked up. I didn't put a chair in the office. That's my bad. Now you can update stockpile records. I learned Dwarf Fortress without using DF Hack because I always found it to, like, in the old days in like version 34, whenever I started playing, everybody played the game with Lazy Noob Pack, which launched DF Hack, Dwarf Fortress, and Dwarf Therapist. So it was 3 pieces of software that you had to learn simultaneously. I found that to be more overwhelming and difficult than just learning the singular kind of janky UI. And I learned the singular kind of janky UI, and then when I tried using DF Hack, there was a couple times where I broke things. I've learned in the future now that was mostly text will be text that was breaking stuff. And that one script in DF Hack that puts all the jobs into the jobs screen in like a grid were the 2 things, because those are things that you have to enable after you load a game. But I had enough crashes enough times that I just kind of said, fuck this. And so the way I played Dwarf Fortress for a very long time was I would have one install with DF Hack and one install without DF Hack so that I could periodically load it if I felt that I needed it to fix something. So I would copy my save file over and have a backup automatically and then do what I needed to do in DF Hack. And I still kind of play the game that way. I mean, it's a lot more stable now. It doesn't break things as much. In fact, very few crashes are now caused by DF Hack. There's very few ways you can screw up your save file in DF Hack. So that is a good thing. Like, the software has improved. But I'm still kind of in that mindset a little bit of gotta be cautious. That's all. I'm gonna start moving workshops. This one can stay down here though. Howdy, elf pulls. Ah, I was like, what's GOA? What's up, Tilla? I know wool is refuse. Yeah. Well, I mean, all animal byproducts are automatically labeled as refuse. I just, for some reason, thought that my wool was sitting in this stockpile, and because I saw this yak fat as wool. Also, kind of unrelated to anything I've been talking about, but there's a mod that I'm really excited for Dwarf Fortress. And it's this. It's this. This is Neo-Dwarf version 0.5. Neo-Dwarf is a new tile set for Dwarf Fortress. Obviously using some tiles that you might recognize because they're free. But they're looking for testers because there's missing assets. And they're also looking for pixel artists who want to help with it. This is exciting to me because this existing means that slowly and eventually, people playing the free version of Dwarf Fortress will be able to use tile sets like this one, and that'll make the free version of Dwarf Fortress more accessible. So that's really cool. So if you are a pixel artist or if you're interested in contributing, they do have a Discord server. Go help them, please. Here's a link. Because making tile sets for the premium version of Dwarf Fortress is very time-consuming, it turns out. Like, exceptionally time-consuming. Well, I mean, it's more just the devs taking time to implement them, right? I mean, there have been 5 different people working on the pixel art for Dwarf Fortress since, like, this version of Dwarf Fortress came into existence. I'm actually just going to go into the kitchen menu real quick. Just go to seeds. Sweet pods, no. Bitter vetch, yes. Ratweed, yes. Rope reed, currently yes. Rock nuts, yes. Alfalfa seeds, yes. Cave wheat, no. Dimple cup, no. Longland grass, yes. Plump helmet spawn, no. The reason I'm enabling these is it'll let me... I'm just going to brew these and not cook with these. Is because it'll enable me to make a lot of meals, but also a lot of these are able to be made into dyes. Like I want radishes to just be made into dye. And also, I'm thinking that I just make into dye. Am I still making bags? That's the question. Got a bunch of yak hair thread, which I should probably get rid of. I'm going to queue up an area over here, which is going to be a stockpile for cloth. It's going to be a stockpile for cloth. I also really like, the bin sprites are really nice. I mean, there's a lot of sprites that exist. It's just up to Tarn to prioritize and then add sprites as they are needed, right? But yeah, the bin and barrel sprites and bag sprites are kind of awesome. Knowing what's in a thing just by looking at it is pretty great. Let's also just go through and pause a bunch of things that don't need to be done right now. So I'm going to pause a lot of these tasks for the moment. Although I will continue spinning thread. The reason I'm pausing a bunch of tasks is just so that we can get this construction stuff done. And also just get this working. You get rid of all of these. You're loading from there. You're loading malachite, so these should get moved. Because right now there's a bunch of hauling tasks amongst other things that need done. Yeah, one of the starting 7 did in fact like sewer brew. But I'm not planting ratweed right now. I'm just getting stuff from, what's it called? The surface, pretty much. We're just gathering plants periodically. So yeah, we pretty consistently have ratweed of sorts. And also I need to check something. Automatically weave all thread, yes. So they should be working on that yarn. Whenever they actually spin it. Although a lot of this is just becoming yak hair. God damn. I mean, what else would it be called? It certainly wouldn't be the depths. Mareb? Also, it's funny that the surface is like lower elevation than where the fort is. Got an idea for an adventure, but you don't know if it's possible. Currently making a historian, traveling the world to collect historical accounts and compile them in a book. Writing books is weird, but you can write books about events. I would go for scrolls, though, because it's less pieces. I mean, that'd be cool. I think you could do that for the most part. You could also make figurines of historical events. I think that yarn isn't considered thread. I think there's a bug with yarn. I haven't talked with anybody directly about it, but I need to do some more testing. But I think that if you set it to only use dyed thread, they won't dye yarn thread. They'll only dye yarn cloth. And if you set it to only use dyed cloth, then they don't dye cloth. So that seems like it's bugged. But they will dye yarn. They will dye sheep wool cloth. They just will only do that if that specific task isn't set. If that makes any sense. These are all getting canceled because they moved. So I can replace these. Actually, we'll just do this and this. But yeah, personally, I find that quite funny. if I'm going to be honest. It's just kind of a bother. It's not really a, you know, like a game ender or anything. And use over here cutting gems. Yeah, I want to get that malachite cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to here. Make you out of oak, because I like the color of oak. And I'm going to set this to only cut blocks that are in here, or only use objects that are in here. Which means this is going to get a lot of canceled jobs on it, but that's fine. Work orders. Blocks. Choose a stockpile in which this will give, will take. Right there. And let's just make 20, and that'll help me. And also, let's make a singular altar. Are dwarves fashionable yet? Working on it. I haven't actually made any clothing yet. I'm still working on getting the industry up and running. You need a fuckloads of bags to run that industry, so it takes a bit. But we're getting to it. We're working on it. We'll hopefully get that up and running today. Currently still working on the fuck tons of bags needed. Oh, that's a carpenter shop. I screwed that up. Yeah, no, I was trying to do it without stockpiles. That's what it seems like right now. Basically, like, I think that I mean, it's a very fixable issue, right? It just means there's some under the hood logic that needs to be worked on, but it's not a bug that bothers me super much. It just means that I need to be specific about using stockpiles to solve the problem instead of that old toggle. Probably what happened is that old toggle just wasn't really thought about, which is totally fair. Clocking out of work, actually having gotten stuff done today. Hell yeah. Good stuff. We're in an ad break, so I will pause. Actually, I'll leave the game paused, but I will queue up some stockpiles for here. I'm going to make 2 separate stockpiles specifically. This one is going to be for cloth that hasn't been dyed. Nothing metal. No specific colors. Wait. That probably counts undyed stuff, right? Okay. And then this one over here is going to only be for dyed stuff. So cloth, all. Only dyed stuff. Yes. If you make a, what's it called? If you make a refuse stockpile, Tilia, and you assign clothing to it, it'll only put damaged clothing into it. Same with cloth. I believe the colors in stockpile does count undyed color. Yeah, because stuff already has colors even when it's not dyed, right? Like, this is some dyed pigtail cloth, which is dyed with peach bark dye, whereas this is gray. So I guess I could specify gray stuff only, but actually, hold on. What color is sheep's? Is undyed sheep's wool? Also gray. So yeah, I could just say only gray. You know something, for your starting 7, you and alive and the ones would dump their old cloth in the tomb. Oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, I know why. It's because when a dwarf is buried, their clothes are stripped off of them, and then the dwarves would all run in there and grab the clothing in the tomb. That's probably why. If I had to bet. Dyed clothes are higher value, and it's a new mechanic, so I have to mess around with it enough to learn it so that I can make YouTube videos. That's why. That's literally it. Caleb, thanks for the 53rd month.
How are you, Dong?
How am I dong? Fine. Still there. But I'm doing all right, mate. Chat, can I get a round of beers? Raise your dongers, actually, if you remember that era of the internet. It did make me have to think about what I was saying in response. Is the bot not on? No, it is. Why'd you screw up there? Oh, I see. Shadow Absorber started it. I thought a Devilish Potato was starting it. You're so insanely addicted to this game, you're having good successes with your first Untamed Wilds embark, and the start was very rough, but you lost 2 dwarves in the very first season to giant dingoes. Good stuff. I mean, I completely failed trading because this fort is so unwieldy and hard to get around in. So I missed my first trading, and that's made my first year pretty slow because I only got my first 2 migrant waves. So hopefully we get more. Honk the bot test. Yep. No. I just simply misread stuff. Okay, so here I will remove all cloth. And stuff should be moved. Should be. Although I will also set these to 2. And 2, so I can consistently see what is in what bin. And what is where. Although, actually, just making sure that yak isn't considered for that. You should be making rock blocks. We'll just say specifically malachite. I don't know why you're not. There we go. And I will just set this to go monthly. If the amount of malachite is greater than 10, the amount of malachite blocks is less than 30. Knock on wood that the trading season goes well soon. Yeah, same. Hoping for it. Crossing my fingers. After lunch today, you decided to work from the local pub. Hell yeah, CEO included. Sounds fun. So you've been enjoying some local craft beers, so spelling might be on. How productive was that work sesh? Because I find a lot of that kind of work environment to not be the most productive, but There we go. Dye. I think it's all just in milled plant. And then I'm also going to put bag, which I think is under finished goods, maybe furniture? Yes, just empty bags. So empty bags and dye. Are what we're going to put in these two stockpiles. And let's say 1 barrel, no bins for that. And then here, don't think dye shouldn't be here. Bag, no bags, please. It truly is a update to die for. That is true. Also, since I've done the kitchen stuff, I'm just going to go and make a kitchen. And just start making meals out of the seeds that I don't need. Amongst the plants I don't need, of course. And we slowly start getting malachite blocks, which are going to look awesome! Let's also make a table and a throne. There's also so many bitter vetch leaves. Let's just start dyeing cloth for a little bit. And, can I make vetch dye? Make radish dye. It's the most useful thing to do with copper ore. The thing is, like, copper isn't bad. Copper is just easy to get. Like tetrahedrite, you know, which is copper silver. With malachite, just like the color of malachite more than the color of copper. So because I have iron on this map, as well as flux, so I can make steel, I'm not worrying too much about having to use copper. I quite like copper armor because it's pretty light. But you can make bronze out of copper, I think. Copper zinc, right? So, like, there are a lot of uses for copper. Copper is actually a very helpful thing to have. I just specifically enjoy using copper for unrelated things because I like the green color. Let's just do 20 meals and we'll just do that quarter seasonally. That's fine. Copper zinc is brass. Copper tin is bronze. Thank you. I always confuse the two. So, yeah, I mean, I like the green. If the green wasn't so, like, hypnotically pretty, I'd probably just smelt it. I will end up smelting some of it, but this map seems to have a lot of it, so I'm taking advantage of it because it's pretty. And I want it for my temple down here. Because I think I can make some cool patterns if using malachite block. Also, I'm going to go turn something on because the effect disables it whenever I turn on my computer, and I'm too lazy to turn off the automatic disabling of it. What's up, Cross and Colossus? Patterns of alternating malachite and copper would be nice. I don't actually know how much malachite I have. I should go down to where they were digging a bunch of it, which is right around here. Kind of a lot of malachite, it seems. I mean, we also have native silver. There's probably more on this level. I know that there's some on higher. Yeah, there's some down here. There's some up here and up here. There's also more native silver up there. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to set a bunch of this as, like, low priority mining tasks to just work on periodically. You're upset. Why are you upset? You're uneasy after being unable to acquire things. You want to be around friends. Do you have any friends? Oh, that'd be why. This dwarf just needs a break, I think. But mostly just wants to pray. Most of these dwarves just want to pray. Malachite is the ore that can be refined into copper, yes. Or a ore that can be refined into copper. Malachite is so pretty. This is true. Speaking of malachite. Oopsies. I just deleted the task by accident. It's okay. Just want to make a statue anyway. It'll get reassigned. That was an oopsie on my part. DS, hello, it's good to see you. Is a Dragonborn playwright named Stanley Kubrick. I get the joke. A caravan from Aestherog has come. So we get to trade once more. I like that they appear in the middle of the map, so you know that you have a weird-sized map. All right, let's set up trading. I bring these 2 gems to trade. I'm also gonna bring these sheep wool cloth. All of this yak hair thread. And what else can I do? I mean, I could sell hoofs and such. Got some fancy decorated rope, which I'll sell. Actually, how much dye do I have right now? I've got 1 plum bark dye. That dye actually sells for not a small amount, but then I'd have to sell the bags along with it, which I don't really want to do. Sell a bunch of empty pots, because I've got a bunch of extras. And it'll give me something to sell. And we'll do that. They've never been supposed to be able to appear in caverns. They'll leave through caverns. So what do you mean by still appear in caverns? To my knowledge, they've never appeared in caverns. Unless you've, like, done some pretty crazy shenanigans. I was wondering if any of these merchants or dudes have any relationships with anybody. Doesn't seem to be. So I love you. As far as I know, they don't. But I could be wrong. I'm a huge fan of your content. Sadly, I can't afford to support the channel directly. That's fine. Where do I get more revenue? If, like, you support on one of those 2 platforms? I get more from Twitch. YouTube is a little bit vague. They both technically give me 70%, but Twitch covers more of the fees than YouTube does. Because I'm a Twitch partner, Twitch pays the conversion fees and the payment processor fees. YouTube doesn't. The High Chroma, Elf Poles, meets with the Outpost Liaison Mafol Dusimkivish. And they say, I'm your liaison from the Mountain Homes. Let's discuss your situations. There is much to share. We've added information to Civilization and World Info. What do I request? What do I request? I think I requested coke last time. I'm going to request oak logs and peach logs. But I'm also going to request gypsum plaster. Something to make bags. They'll bring that regardless. I'm not too worried about that. I might also just make bags out of leather. They want ammunition and powder, which I guess that sounds like gunpowder, but I'm presuming that means like sand and dye even. And then this is the Outpost Liaison. Have you developed any friendships here yet? Just Dulkin the Milker. Oh, that's neat. But no, I was going to buy a bunch of leather off of them because it's cheap and then make leather bags. Which means I need a leather workers. And also a place for leather. Yeah, gotta make more blocks pretty soon, but let's wait for stuff to finish getting put away until I get more dwarves. Gypsum powder. Yeah, I think dye is also considered a powder, though. Also gonna sell those plum pits. So many seeds. So many seeds and so many bags. Hold on. Let me just see. What seeds are not set to be cooked? Most of these. They all appear to be set to be cooked if they can be. Yeah, that's my broker right there. It's coming over to trade. So that gets me 1,282 value of thing. I'm going to buy their coke. I'm going to buy the logs. And did they bring me any... Okay, so they were simulating Udars. I'm going to bring Udars. Or buy the Udars, I guess. Because they were simulating them. They brought some burbs, which I don't need or want. I will buy the empty, cheaper bags. Buy that cloth. Well, maybe not the bin itself. These are all very expensive, actually. Let's just buy the leather bins. Because a lot of these are already dyed, right? Oh, these are all the same price. That's interesting. I don't need the bin, though. Let's see if he'll take the trade. They did! Okay. Even though it was yellow. W Tiger, thanks for the 27th month check. Can I get a round of beers for W Tiger? I mean, you can sometimes have roads in caverns. I love you. But I've never seen traders arrive through caverns, and as far as I know, that isn't a thing that can happen. But I've been wrong before and misremembered things before. There may have been a mod or a script or something that made that happen at some point, so memory with Dwarf Fortress can be confuddling at times. You had a road in the fort? Ah, gotcha. Yeah, no, that doesn't make it possible for things to move there like that. I'm just going to make this into the temple for right now. It's going to be very awkward and tight, but I need a temple. So the dwarves who want to go pray can go do that. I should have one more item. Ah, yes, the plum pits bag. Which has a value of 32. What can I purchase for a value of 32? Maybe like a singular splint? All this stuff is just slowly getting divvied up. I'm just going to allow all colors because there's something weird going on with that, because that should get moved. And you are cooking primarily with seeds. We've got an acorn roast. What's in an acorn roast? Ingredients are minced alfalfa, minced walnuts, and minced acorns. You know, honestly, like candied minced almonds and acorns and walnuts. I mean, hey, you know, that could work. I'm not hating. So I get these process plants going. Because I need those pigtails to be planted. Which is what they're moving on to. Got longland grass seeds roast. It's a stack of minced bitter vetch seeds, minced rope reed seeds, and minced longland grass seeds, and minced longland grass seeds. Which will occasionally... Also, you know, honestly, this should be none. But plump helmets, pigtails, pigtails, sweet pods, cave wheat, and dimple cups. I think that's everything, because I'm not going to do quarry brushes, probably. And then you... No cave wheat. Dimple cups. Pigtails. Plump helmets. Or sweet pods. How's the fort? Slowly fiddling with dyes and getting to understand how dyes work. Okay, so this one's supposed to be no dye. But dyed cloth is ending up in here. Is it stuff that I've dyed, potentially? Like, if I say no color... Will they still bring stuff here? Let's just make pear leaf dye. Let's get a bunch of dyes made. Rock nuts? Those are from making rock nut oil, but I think I have those set to be cooked, so they should go in there. Those are quarry bushes, right? Are they not? I almost never do stuff with rock nuts, for whatever it's worth. Okay, I should probably just go in here and unforbid everything again now that we're done trading. Just get everything back to normal, more or less. And go back down here and continue filling this out. Just trying to do 4 at a time. Died and undead quality seems to be a little bit bugged. Explain? Like, what are you noticing? I will say all of these things that are noticed, or if you notice, we should, if possible, make sure that they're reported to the developers. So if I see things, you can clip them and use them as evidence, or if somebody else sees something, just report it and send in a save file. Etc. We've got a statue of a wolf from the looks of things getting placed there. On stockpiles and work orders, it doesn't seem to adequately separate them. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I'll fiddle with it and see if I can get it working, but no problem. Matt the other. You need a good CPU for this game? I mean, it depends on how big you make your fort, right? Because you can change, like, the size of the possible embark sizes and the number of dwarves you have. I mean, I could make this game run poorly on any computer. I can make it run pretty well on any computer. It'll run on anything, but if you set it up for size and scale, it won't run well on anything. It's kind of the rule of thumb for Dwarf Fort, so your mileage may vary, I guess. To the person in YouTube chat asking about how good of a CPU you have, but obviously the better CPU you have, the better it'll run. You've noticed in the current version, when specifying a specific type of wood to use at a carpenter workshop, any wood will be used along with what was specified. I've been told mixed things on that, Foul G in YouTube chat. I've had people tell me that if you use the manager, it works fine, which it seems to, from my very small amounts of experimenting here. But if you do it, if you manually do it, it doesn't work. Oopsies. I just got a bunch of sheep that grew up to adults. So I will also do the same thing with shearing. Shear animal and spin thread. I'll just do this monthly. It uses anything, however, making single items in the workshop obeys the order. Okay, maybe I have it backwards. Yeah, there's been enough like pretty seismic changes that I'm not too surprised that there's weird eccentricities and bugs in the current version. It sucks, but, you know, they'll get ironed out. I have faith that they will get ironed out. Just give it time. Also, we're in an ad break, so I will pause. I will pause. I've been bad about that recently, so. Like, kind of really bad about that recently. Like, pausing while game is, while Twitch is showing ads. Also, YouTube folks, don't forget to leave likes. We're at 94 people watching. And of course, we can make that like number go up. So I would appreciate it if you'd help. Always have bugs? Yeah, they usually get addressed pretty quickly. Sometimes they get addressed pretty quickly and then one or two get left kind of anomalously for a long time and then they get addressed eventually. I guess it highly depends on how quickly they can fix them, but I have a feeling we'll have another patch pretty soon though. I've heard through the grapevine that stuff's in the works, so fingers crossed we get a new patch in a reasonable-ish amount of time. You know? In a reasonable-ish amount of time. Because who doesn't want to have patches in a reasonable amount of time? Yeah, I think that the last kind of 2 patches just have some particularly egregious bugs because they've just made some pretty major changes to stuff. Although anything that like modifies stockpiles historically has always had like oddities, so I'm also kind of not too surprised that the dyes one has some oddities associated with it. I feel like dogs must be religious in Dwarf Fortress because dogs and cats always hang out in the temple, living together. It's crazy. Mass hysteria. But yeah, I don't know. I do think that Dwarf Fortress releases have been less problematic as of late. At least since the Kit Fox assistance, I'll say. I'm actually just going to move this up to here and erase it from down here so these dogs don't cancel tasks as much. Let's move those and those. In the temple, of all things. You know, it's crazy. Mass hysteria, man. Who are you gonna call? Dwarf Busters? I don't have any ghosts. I wonder how many times Tarn forgets something he coded since he has been at it for 2 decades. I asked him that once, and he said he's kind of constantly surprised by how good he is at, like, making notes in his code. And sometimes he'll be going through his code, and then he'll see something that he made note on, like, add this now, or add this, like, finish this. And, like, notes basically saying, like, hey, like, get back to work, lazy. And he got distracted and forgot about them for a long time. So Tarn has never struck me as the sort of person who's particularly good at note taking, you know? Like, you know how sometimes people are just like, oh, you're really good at, like, taking notes. Tarn's never struck me as the sort of person who's particularly great at taking notes. Oh yeah, no, it's most mass hysteria in history has just been religious nonsense. So, yes. It's like self-inflicted hysteria, I guess. No. I got one crash yesterday and I know exactly what did it. But not outside of the ordinary. What, do you know what has been causing your crashes? I have heard about more crashes as of late, though. Replacing doors and it crashed. Weird. Are you using mods? Or are you playing vanilla? That's great for its way of thinking. I tried using Obsidian. I think I'll stick with Yoplin. Vanilla? I don't know. I mean, take your crash logs and report them. If you can. That's all I can really say, though. Masterful engraving of a broccoli. I mean, kind of. I was trying to go for, like, a half moon, but... The green umbrella? Well, it's not going to look like an umbrella soon because this corner is going to be green as well. I was thinking like a leaf or like a moon that's got a shadow covering it slowly. Although I might actually go along this side and make it brown. So it looks more circle-y. Haven't decided yet. It's a radial temple, making people walk on the outside path to contemplate enlightenment or some other religious bullcrap. I mean, I was going to put a little dining room right here and connect it to it. I don't know what that is, Honey Hippo. This was going to be the gift shop. Clearly you're thinking about this way more than I am. Although I do kind of like the idea of, like, you know, a temple where they're only allowed in certain areas of the temple. Historically interesting and terrifying, but I have 19 dwarves. We're still in year 2. I've had 2 migrant waves because I missed trading the first time, and I haven't even broken into the caverns yet. Maka. So, no. This is going to take a while to set up. I'm guessing like a 5-year timeline, depending on how quickly we get migrants. But I'm not going to break into the caverns until I have somewhere to put combatants. So the main focus right now is just growing the population and, like, getting the fortress function. I mean, this is my first temple. This is my tavern. So, no, I don't have anything done, Maka. Unavailable in YouTube chat is asking if anybody plays on Steam Deck. I'm not sure what they're looking for advice-wise. I don't own a Steam Deck, so I do play on Linux, though. Sounds horrible. It's funny, actually. I know some people who have said that they spend most of their time playing on a Steam Deck. Apparently there's some community control options that are pretty okay for it. Because, like, as a touchscreen game, it's not bad, I would assume. All right. I'm actually going to do a quick save. All this talk about crashing is sketching me out. Resolution was your big issue? I mean, if you set it to the right resolution. Also, we're out of drink. I should fix that. I need newer glasses for that? Yeah. The manager's throne. Sure. Yes, we are indeed out of Dwink. It's okay. We got lots of stuff to make into drink, though. Although I should actually... Dink, dink. And then you wanted the manager's throne. So this is the... Yeah, it's this one. Maka's throne. We don't know who that is, but that's Maka's throne. I'm not too worried about it, though. In regards to drink, we're going to get some plum wine up in here. These are all seed roasts, which is kind of funny. All right, let's not use that. I'm going to put 1, maybe 2 dyer shops up there. Probably just 1. Those are bitter vetch seeds. It was really cool how they had controller profiles for both Fortress mode and Adventure mode, since they play very different. Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I'll say about like the Steam Deck is, man, that's one dedicated fucking community, man. Like, holy shit, that's a dedicated community. So this down here, it's gonna be moved up here. Although, maybe I should do weavers first. Just do 2 looms up here. Because I've got one down here, just currently doing nothing. Except I'm going to also go to here for the milk animal and make cheese. I'm just going to set that to 1 shot max. I just want them to prioritize processing plants and shearing stuff. And then you right here can get deconstructed. Yeah, the color's got to be the problem here. I don't fully know how to deal. Let's also throw maybe a second barrel over here. See if they use them. So I haven't seen them put any full dye stuff into there, but these aren't even supposed to be here, so. Although I'm actually just going to chuck a quick garbage dump down here and grab these and just go, plunk, get rid. Go put them over there, please. See if they actually do it. Let's go clothing and leather. Just throw a loom in right there. I'm also going to need a leather worker's shop. The dyer. We'll use bloodthorn barrels because those are cool. Oaken buckets. Although, actually, I screwed that up. Can I not select the block type? I guess not. So, chat, what are you guys up to this weekend? I know we're getting close to Labor Day, at least over here. School's going back soon. Which means ideally the world will get a little quiet. Old man yells at cloud vibes. Overtime at work. Chores, right, Sirlac? Childcare, fair. I know I've asked you this before, California Ninja Lawyer in YouTube chat, but are you a lawyer operating in California who's also a ninja? Or are you a lawyer operating in California that defends ninjas? That username just sparks so many questions, and I need to know. I have to build a new front porch? What's wrong with the old one? But that sounds fun. Nothing else? Real lawyer in California, also actual ninja. Got it. Cool. The best of both worlds, I suppose. I guess the pay as a lawyer is higher than ninja. I just finished building your back patio so that you've got friends coming over to barbecue. Yeah, Neezer was also working on a porch for a pretty long time while watching this stream. Yeah, these are not going to get hauled, are they? Whatever. I'm just not going to worry about it. Okay, so let's just make radish dye. Am I cooking radishes? I feel like I shouldn't. But I got a bunch of radishes, so we'll just make a bunch of radish dye. Clothing and leather, loom. Let's make a second loom. And then I will make a leatherworks and a stockpile for leather. We're going to start making leather bags. Your weather rotted the old one to mush? Oh, that sucks. Of wake surfing and boating. Sounds fancy. You might visit some relatives after your Saturday shift. You just finished building out your back patio, so your friends coming over. I think the school's already started here. Yeah. I want to say that school's like first week of September here. I want to say. I know there's some spots in the US that start school in like fucking July or some shit. Which seems early? I don't know. Let's just make radish dye. If there's more than 2 empty bags and 5 radish plants. Which means I'll get some conflicts, probably. But how much do I have for leather? Okay, I've just got a big old bin of leather. So I'll probably just queue up a make leather bags job. Let's go clothing and leather. I'm just going to put you right there. Although, actually, I'm going to make you out of a different material because I don't want everything to just be brown. It's like the opposite of my happy place. You've earned bloodthorn logs. This is a feature that was added in the like all of this stuff is all new as of the last patch. So you can make all of these dyes plus more at the mills and querns. These are all vanilla. And then what you can do is once they're made, you can go to this and you can mix them. So I could mix dark peach dye, dark pink dye, which I'm going to start doing, which is using ecru and raspberry. So the other thing I can do, can I make ecru dye? Don't mix dye. Make dye. I want to say it was one of the barks that made ecru. Yeah, I want to say it was pear bark. Yeah. But no, this isn't a mod. There are now 130. Is it 135? Is that the specific? I haven't actually counted. But yeah, you can take dyes and then mix dyes to make more complicated, vivid dyes. It's kind of a lot. It's pear leaves make a crew? Okay. I mean, hold on. Right. I think there's multiple things that make a crew. Actually. The thing that I don't understand is why these dyes are staying in this shop and not moving into this. Like, is there another option for dye bags that I'm missing? I mean, it's just build plants, right? Oops, nope, not meals. No, 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 no. You tried compiling all of the mixes, but there are too many. Oh, so there's more than 130. So there's 135 non-mixable dyes plus all of the combinations, is what you're saying. That is entirely too many. But also kind of awesome. I'm going to make another dyer's shop. To be able to tell your millstones and querns what to mill, you just have to attach them to specific stockpiles, which sucks, but that's the way I've always worked through it, is just using give and take orders with stockpiles. Emerald dye plus black dye. That's... Yeah, no, this is just hopefully a system that I will understand sooner than later, so that I can make a video about it. A lot of digging. This is true, George, yes. You're getting your PC from their parents, you'll have lots of catch up to do in, with this specifically? No, totally. Like, if you've missed a few patches, it's kind of a lot. It is kind of a lot if you've missed a couple patches. We'll also smooth under this. Let's get rid of that. So this is gonna basically get a little room built around it. Same with this. I'm gonna just start building little, I guess, little constructed houses in this open space. I'm also going to, probably set this to priority 6 or something. Slowly mine through more, oh, nope, that's auto. Slowly mine through more of this. Because I want this whole layer to get mined out. And I'm going to build all of my manufacturing on this level. So the old dyes are now combinable. However, if you would like the new dyes, then yes, you have to make a new world. So the answer is yes, but also not really. Like you can mess with the new stuff, just not all of it. I don't know if all these beds will get this malachite treatment here, but kind of I'm enjoying having some differing colors. There we go. Dwarves being able to feel wonder after incompetently performing the rites of their god. As they bloody well should. I'm also going to go down here, and here, and here, and make a meals stockpile. And this is going to take items from up here. Although that may not stay that way for very long. I'm not seeing any of these dye bags being used to do what I need them to do. Plum bark dye. So we've got pear leaf dye. Okay, so mixed dye. I like that it sets these at the top, though. All right, let's just go down to here. Actually, I'm gonna do something. I'm going to make a harvesting zone, gather fruit and wet nut zone down here. I'm gonna remove this so that they don't get stuck in trees. And I may actually restrict this to just the better herbalists and maybe the dwarves, or maybe not all those dwarves, to just most of the herbalists. And then gather plants tasks will start happening, and then hopefully that'll clear what I need for dyes. You always learn something new with each new fort. The other thing about starting a new world in a new fort right now is if you haven't generated a new world for a while, you'll also get the colorful Forgotten Beasts, which is just fun. Like, obviously, like that's not like gameplay mandatory or anything, but is fun. Is that aqua dye seems to be unattainable? What is aqua dye made out of? Janto? If I can ask. Oops. I just opened up my calculator widget. Also, an ad is about to start. When it starts, I'm going to run a quick save and refill my water bottle because it's getting kind of low. So I'll just start that right now. I will be RB. 2 secs. Well, timing on those weren't great, but I haven't seen a boogeyman since the update. I would presume not, because small humanoid angels aren't colored yet. Although if anything's going to stay just like a weird amorphous black shadow, it should probably be the boogeyman, but... Doesn't it, though? Romanoid, doesn't it? Love the look of it, personally. Although I have to say this fort in general looks pretty nice at the moment. I'm thinking that the clothing and whatnot area kind of expands out into here, and then Probably wall around here and then down to that side. But I'll start building the wall as we go as well. But yeah, malachite floors and malachite furnitures, and also malachite statues look awesome. This is a statue of Akil, the Iron of Gems, which is actually the deity of mountains, depicted as a male coyote, which was created by Pubert. Akil, the Iron of Gems, is contemplating, which you always love to see. Also preparing lavish meals. Appears to be mostly made of alfalfa seeds, which you'll love to see as well. You know, I think I'm going to pause unnecessary stuff just to get all this construction done. Well, not unnecessary stuff, but I'm going to pause a lot of jobs. Because currently I have too many dwarves, or too many tasks, and not nearly enough dwarves. Although I will keep making leather bags, though, because that is a very important task for this fort. You know, I wonder if I remove bags, if that'll help with this hauling. We'll see. Currently, a lot of dwarves are gathering plants, which is also fair, because that's also stuff that needs to be done. Seriously though, Janto, what is aqua dye made out of, and what makes it unobtainable? Like, I genuinely don't know, so I'm curious. You know, honestly, let's just make this like a third of the size. This is probably too big. This will help keep a bunch of dwarves from getting, you know, too cave adapted. My dwarves are getting grouchy after being outside again. Loathing after being out in the sunshine again. Oof. You just can't make it. There are no ingredients that mix or produce it. Question then, because when you say like aqua dye, you're saying that like it's listed somewhere. I'm presuming it's listed here then. Hold on, let me just. Oops, no. That cloth is specific. Because there's aqua and then there's aquamarine, right? Is it like two that need to be combined together that need to make it? Also, I've got a lot of silver that's available. Actually, what specific colors do I have? Got pale pink and gold. Actually, hold on. Let's just cancel this. Let's try mixing some dyes. I can mix dark peach dye, or I can make tan dye, or I can make pink dye, or dark pink dye. Let's mix pink dye. It's this part that's hard, that I don't understand. Let's just do a generic mix dye task. And I will just, if the unrotten dye items is greater than 2. then must set colors. Oh, interesting. Okay. Using goldenrod and pale pink. Radish dye is what? Radish dye is pale pink. I'm trying to think what I have that's goldenrod. Guess it's peach bark? Well, that's amber. Pearleaf is a crew. Did I make goldenrod dye? I must have, I don't know. Huh. Let's just not do multiples. Let's just do the one-offs. Because that's just the way to do this, I think. Let's make pear leaf dye as well, because now I've got more pear leaves coming in. You can combine, some don't have recipes and some need aqua as an ingredient. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Well, I mean, it's an opportunity for modders, but outside of that, yeah, that's kind of chaotic. Still continuing to make leather bags. Yeah, I don't know how to make these stockpiles work. Like, they don't seem to want to put dye in a stockpile. Does anybody know how to make a stockpile just for dye? Because I'm trying to make this into just a dye stockpile. I've got all the dyes assigned, but, you know, they're just, it's just sitting empty. I mean, Toady went full strange mood and added a system that nobody was asking for, which is pretty typical Dwarf Fort, but also pretty peak Dwarf Fortress. Maybe it's going into another food stockpile? Oh, shit. I think you're right. Although, actually, only dye. I didn't even think about that. Thank you. Which will hopefully... You're making radish dye. You're getting a sip. I mean, I could also just set you to give. We'll give items. Same with you. We'll give items. But also give items to here. And... give items to here. I love the fact that you can make eggplant dye. There's something really funny about that. The entirety of Dwarf Fortress is just a the entirety of Dwarf Fortress is just a side project that got out of control, okay? Like, this is a widely discussed and known fact. I Don't need that anymore. Stockpile just for dye is a graveyard. No, that's not exactly what a graveyard is. Oh, also the frame rate went down to very low for a second there. What? Ah, that's probably why. Let's just dye. We'll just dye cloth. We're just gonna do it that way. Dye thread. We'll see what they end up dyeing. We'll see what they end up dyeing, you know. Because of course. What else would they dye? Birds on map? No, I think it was probably just them seeking dyes. If I had to bet. You're dyeing thread. That's interesting. It's like if you tell them to do it that way, then they do dye it successfully. But managed to get 1 saffron. It's kind of cool. It's a value of 20 Dwarf bucks. Now, hold on. Automatically, we've dyed thread. Can you do that? Yes, it looks like it. Yeah, so that's the frustrating part, basically. Is like, I can weave dyed thread, but they can't dye undyed thread if I tell them not to use... If I tell them to weave dyed thread. Can I specify here? Like, if I say, weave thread into cloth... I don't think I can specify dyed. From there. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. I guess I'll just need both of those, so dye thread and dye cloth. And then just not worry about it. I've literally been doing that and it's not working. Like, this is very clearly dyed cloth. This is very clearly dyed cloth. So it's not working. So thank you, Janta. I know. But from what I can tell, that doesn't work. So modders, what do you want? I know you want a dwarf, but be more specific. So, like, if there's something I'm missing with this specific stockpile thing, please tell me. But, like, I've set it so that only undyed cloth goes here, and that is yellow. First unnamed alphabetically. Kib. You are Puppery's spouse. Tavern keeper, who's also is 120 years old, so you're older than him. Wow. You're a legendary animal trainer. You worship a few gods. You have several friends in the fort already as well. She disdains even the best advice of associates and family, relying strictly on her own counsel. She can easily become absorbed in art and beauty of the natural world, and is troubled by this since she dislikes others. Sorry, and she's... troubled by this since she dislikes the natural world and she does not trust others. There we go. She dislikes helping others and can be very single-minded, sometimes acts with little determination and confidence, is not inherently proud of her talents and accomplishments, and tends to be passive in discussions. She tends to think before acting, and she is somewhat fearful in the face of imminent danger. She tends to not be swayed by emotional appeals, and she often acts with compassion. She is conflicted by this as she sees these tendencies as an impotent for the quest for power. She isn't particularly ambitious, and she is somewhat quarrelsome. She is bothered by this, and she is bothered by this since she values friendship, and she has an active sense of humor and is not particularly curious about the world, and has a greedy streak and does not fall in love, and she can easily fall in love and develop positive feelings. Her voice trails off when she's thinking about something, and when she's trying to remember something, she starts chewing her lips. She needs alcohol to get through the working day. Dreams of crafting a masterwork someday, and personally sees family as one of the most important things in life, and respects power. Only cloth dyed in your fort counts as dyed cloth, even if you have to make a stockpile for white cloth only then. But I made a stockpile for white cloth only then, or like gray cloth, and they didn't put anything in it, but I can try and remove all colors but gray. Because it's gray, not white. But we'll see. But thanks for the tidbit of only stuff that was made in your fort is counted, because I didn't know that. Yeah, this seems to be working now, so that's good. Let's make pear leaf dye. Let's make raspberry dye. I'll figure out how to queue all these up eventually. And, well, automatically making them radish dyes. Should just queue up radish, or raspberry and radish. Yeah, the pigtail is gray. Sheep's wool seems to be gray as well. So I just didn't realize that stuff that wasn't made in your fort wasn't considered dye, or wasn't considered dyed. Only stuff that was made in your fort was considered. Basically, just I guess the secret answer here is just don't buy dyed cloth. Really. But right now I just need to... Meh! Hakia has stolen a bitter vetch leaf. Good. I think that the actual hope here is that we just eventually overpower these pigtail cloths and, you know, don't have to worry about it so much. I'm going to make a clothes shop, singular, and delete that one. I'll use limestone. Why not? I'll connect it to this and start getting multicolored hoods made, because I don't think you can specify by color. Make cloth hood. Specify cloth. Yeah, I can only specify cloth. Although, actually... Yeah. Let's just get rid of you. Make cloth hood. We'll make 20. And then this is only going to take from this stockpile. If one wants to import cloth, they tell you not to export cloth, but I've never had somebody want to import cloth. But yeah, no, it is a problem. What am I doing here? Clicking this button is what I'm doing. Take items. Boom, right from there. Yeah. And you can't have any gray items. To accept undyed colored cloth, or else it won't have a stockpile for undyed colored cloth. Such a messy system. Yep, no, I very much expected that. I'll mess with this and we'll see when I start. Oh wait, so you're saying these are considered undyed colored cloths? Like basically just imported cloths? Is that what you're saying? If I'm understanding you correctly. Because like this was an imported cloth, right? Okay. I understand. So let's make a cloth stockpile for undyed that's not gray. Not gay. Not gray. So then in theory, this will be moved. In theory. Although wouldn't it be best then to just make a stockpile for dyed cloth and undyed cloth and just allow... never mind. No, I'm thinking backwards. Wait, hold on. What? Did I do it backwards? Oh, you are correct. No. It should be all colors except for gray. I did that right. I'm confused. Oh, I see. No, I got that back. Yep, no, you're correct. You are correct. Uncolored fabric is considered gray. At least the only ones I've seen have been gray, which is pigtail cloth and sheep's wool. I haven't seen anything else. But we're now making fancy colored like hoods, basically. Out of pigtail cloth. Using peach bark dye. So let's see who the first person to pick this up is. Please tell me it was the baby. No. Or are you just putting it in a stockpile? You're just putting it in a stockpile. Okay. Very much not greedy then. I want to see somebody come get it. Let's also make rock cabinets, rock coffer. Make 30 of each. And I'm just going to make these out of limestone because I have shit tons of it. Gotta go hack down some trees. Oh, somebody grabbed it. So Toulon's the first with the fancy new hood. I don't know. I seem to recall somebody in chat saying no. Some otters, you've just given birth to a boy. So you now have a son. As you're making cloth hoods. And you feel adoration after giving birth to a boy. I wonder what Potpourri thinks about this. I was about to read annoyed when becoming a parent. No, feels adoration after becoming a parent and blissful. Very, very happy. Well, that's good. You're a beautiful babby. If chat comes up with a funny name for the baby of some otters and Potpourri, let me know. Oh, look at that. I really like the color of raspberry dye. Raspberry dye might be my favorite so far. Right, there's a P in raspberry. At least we're also finally catching up to the number of bags needed. But yeah, I guess like you'll just need to split them up between colors. It's probably the best way to do it. Because like this is what? Amber, so I could make like a amber cloth stockpile. Only dyed, only amber. And then this could give to that. And then I'll call this amber cloth. We'll see if that filters. So if I want to be specialized about silly colors, I can. Those are going to be cool looking. You've got a pale pink hood. And that's is that called raspberry pink? That is raspberry pink, yeah. I feel like raspberries are more red. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that kind of seems like probably the way I'm going to end up doing this. Maybe not infinite stockpiles, but actually making use of bins. Because I really want to make pink robes. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually, I think, is... I'm just going to let them make these hoods. And then I'm going to start sorting these stockpiles, I think is what I'm actually going to do. Because I'm going to shrink this stockpile probably down to about there after this is done. And then I'm just going to basically build a filter. So cloth will come out of here periodically and go into here. Also, I've got so much pear leaf dye. Holy shit. What color is pear leaf dye? Although, is there just a generic dye cloth? There is. So could I just make a dye cloth? Yeah. I do have that dye thread task, but I could also just be out of thread. So let's just focus on dyeing cloth and not worry about the thread, because that seems to be causing issues. So if the amount of unused dyeable cloth and unrotten dye items is greater than 5, and you're greater than 5, we'll do 4. And I'm going to make sure that we are processing plants and spinning thread. That's what I'm going to do. And shearing animals and whatnot. It accrues like a beige, though. Also, we're in an ad, so I will pause. Sorry, I've been stuck in the UI for a minute and not reading any chats. It counts as undyed. Yeah, because it wasn't dyed locally. It's foreign dye. Foreign dye? Foreign dye! Also, YouTube folks, I'm only 6 likes away from a hundo. Let's hit 100 likes. And I also have to just say a real quick thanks to everybody who's tuned in today. Appreciate you guys. I do have a daily minimum, which is the amount of money that I try to make every day. If I hit that amount, it means that I made minimum wage for where I live if I've streamed for 8 hours. I'm currently a little past halfway there, which brings me to about $52 on my daily minimum. Just think of me if you happen to have a Prime sub available. That's all. Because people with hats next to your name, you're the ones that keep this channel funded. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for the like, Dakota Pool. Of course, don't do anything you can't afford. I will be okay. The stream will go on, regardless. That is a lot of wool. I may actually, like, pause that. And just get them to spin all that thread, because there's a lot of thread that must be spun. We're continuing to make fancy hats for everybody. So if I go into here and go to game, well, actually, let's just make all these hats, I think. And then also, shit, that brings us up to 20 dwarfs on the dot. Would you look at that? I'm just going to wait until this dwarf finishes making these hoods. And we get through the make cloth hood task, which is 11 more. And once those are done, I'm going to give these dwarves a break, and we're going to turn off the task-related clothing coloring. That is going to be something I do. Because especially we also just have a lot of hauling that needs to be done right now. You can get quite long descriptions mixing dye already. Mixed dyes results in listing the basic ingredients in its descriptive. Oh, wow. Maka, thank you very much for gifting a sub to Moreb. Helping us hit that daily minimum. Appreciate you. Matching robes for cults should be a lot easier now. I really want to do, like, raspberry pink robes. Is something I really want to do. So I should start or get some farming going. Specifically farming raspberries, because I would really like to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. The rasping cult of berries. That actually sounds like something that would exist in Dwarfort. And maybe like... So this is saffron with a mixture of radish dye and ash bark. So, like, I could start making ash bark dye and then make saffron dye out of it. So if I mix... Yeah. I could do the two of those. Aquatic Moo. Thank you very much for that prime. Appreciate you. Your name is a color that can't be made in this game, apparently. Because I also like the color of saffron. I think saffron's really nice. Okay, let's just get rid of this stockpile for the time being. And I do have a dwarf. Wait. I like the color of that. Look at that. This dwarf, I think, grew up here. Yeah, no, this dwarf did. Zachrys's kid who migrated here with them, who was 17 when they arrived, is now an adult. I guess gonna become a dyer pretty quick. So this is dyeing. Oh, that's interesting. So if you, like, take a already dyed cloth that isn't considered dyed, then it dyes it, and then it goes into the right stockpile after the fact. Well, that's chaotic. Also, this dwarf is a doctor? Hold on. Why are these red ones showing up? I think that nobles just show their colors. Like the purple ones? Yeah, they do. Huh. Why is that? How long has that been a thing? Like, that feels like it's been a thing for some time, probably, but... House stream, a lot of fiddling with dyes. Although not as many dye puns as yesterday. Maybe we'll get some more now that I've mentioned it, though. How's your day been, Drew? Hopefully good enough? Do I have any other blocks? No, not really. So I'll just let them work on that. Am I dying from anticipation? No? I don't think so. I am dying to learn more about this subject, though. Got lots of processing plants going. Lots of weaving. I appear to be mixing saffron dye using peach bark dye and radish dye. And then I think that frees up one bag? No, it makes 2 bags. Hold on. Oh, that's interesting. So making a bag of radish and a bag of bark makes 2 bags of saffron. Huh. That's cool. I don't have any wild boars or pigs in this map, no. I do have a lot of sheep, though. So you could be lamenting the fact that I'm not shearing them enough. 1 bag to 1... It's 1 bag to 1 dye item, yes. Although someone said something that tinting doesn't use a full bag. I haven't really messed with tinting yet.
Ooh, you suck.
What? What'd I do? I'm actually just going to get rid of this. Because they'll just get dyed in with a different color and then moved anyway, and it's fine. I think the extra stockpile kind of just confuses things. So if I actually go here and type in dye, what do we have currently? We're actually, like, you know, getting a decent little supply going. I mean, we've got 11 radish dye, 5 pear leaf dye, 2 ash bark dye. And then, oh, that's interesting. Saffron is mixed in with this. Is this a higher value or is it all just 20? I think it's all just 20. And all these dwarves are super goddamn busy. Ridiculously goddamn busy. Question is, nope, we got 2 more hoods to make. Currently, nobody's making them. So many dye puns, we might as well just roll it, you know? I just assumed that they had administrative skills. The purple names are administrative skills. Like, they're like, your manager, your nobles are also purple. But they don't seem to be purple colored anymore. They used to be purple colored. But now that I'm looking at these dwarves, they're actually just, like, using the color of their gear, which is kind of neat, actually. I'm super okay with that. I think that's a neat little thingy. Hold on, let me just double check that I don't have a setting tripped or something. Displaying color worn in fort mode. So yeah, no, currently they shouldn't be displaying the worn colors. They should be displaying the color of their job, which means they should be purple. But I'm super okay with them just using whatever color is available to them that they're wearing. I think that's a really neat way of doing things, actually. And I think this should be the last one. YouTube, write a pun, go. If you claim the stone workshop, click on the stone workshop and see approximately what tasks he is asking for. Maka, please make my life easier. So I'm going to ignore your request, and instead of saying make a pun, YouTube chat, the first person to put 3 pickaxe emojis into the YouTube chat gets a dwarf, or gets to name something. Maka wants to give you something, but in future, no, I'm not gonna like be so specific. Let's just be generic in general. Unless you have somebody specifically spec'd out, don't do that. Okay, so you need some sort of boulder, you need some sort of chopped down wood. Blazing Tiger, what would you like to name? You're the first person who popped up in the chat with the 3 pickaxe emojis. Yeah, also that, what Sotark said, is that dwarf running around or just sitting? All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a burrow. It's going to be a very simple burrow. It's just going to be here. Here. And all of this. This is going to be called Mandatory Fun Zone. The Funavision. And I will also permit these offices. And we're going to put everybody in it. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to take a look at their clothing colors. Right there. The Funder, you know, honestly, I'm going to go with that. That's funny. A mining dwarf. Dwarf with a pickaxe who ain't named. Every single dwarf with a pickaxe is named. Give this peasant a pickaxe. We can go with that. Blazin, who is the child of Stodier and Zachris. She is always tense and jittery and almost never feels discouraged, doesn't tend to hold on to grievances, and tends to avoid any physical confrontations. But yeah, when it comes to gifting dwarfs, Maka, I specifically made it easier to get so people would stop doing that. So the idea for me is just, if you want to name something, name something. If you don't, let other people claim it. Just for future reference. And I will periodically sprinkle dwarves into the YouTube chat when there's lots available. And right now there isn't. So, you know. He tends to avoid any physical confrontations. She works to square his natural tendency with respect to martial prowess. She has a sense of duty, and though she still holds the law in disdain. She tries to do things correctly each time, and she doesn't focus on material goods. She often acts with a narrow focus on the current activity and is very humble. She needs alcohol to get through the working day and does not mind being outdoors, at least for a time. She dreams of mastering a skill and personally sees holding back complaints and concealing personally sees no value in holding back complaints and concealing emotions, and does not respect the law, and does not values artwork, and does not really value skills related to fighting, like slate bronze and velvet and sespertine, as well as little penguin leather. The color lavender, lush maces, lion tamarin men for their small size, and the words of the play of couples and the sound of a flowery lute, some impossible for us to consume, tiger shark, and single grain wheat beer. Hates rats. She has wavy hair, which is extremely long, and her thin irised, close set silver eyes are slit. Her eyes are slightly protruding, and her head is somewhat short. welcome to the fort. Just gonna go through here and pause basically everything. An Arch, thank you very much for that Prime subscription for a 19th month. Check, can I get a round of beers? Store item in bag, that's fine. So they'll put a bunch of seeds away, I think. I'll also actually permit this. It's interesting that they're kind of hanging out in their bedrooms. But this is what they all look like right now. Assuming these are saffron? Nope, that's just amber. I really like the amber color. The pale pink is a little meh, honestly. Got a dwarf here telling a story. Very skilled comedian. Wonder how good you are of a storyteller. We were watching yesterday and saw you using the elevation and the cliff view for your embark, and I taught you how to find and tell tall mountains, so thanks, I'm happy to help. Cheers, mate. Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't even... I'll be honest, I never actually finished the Dwarf Fortress tutorial. You know, I just kind of have played this game a lot, but I've never actually finished the tutorial. And being completely frank, I don't know what's actually communicated in the tutorial and what isn't. So, there's a tutorial. Yeah. Leather doesn't show colors except in portraits, I think, Marib? Which is why I'm just making leather bags. But I think it does in portraits, at the very least. Let me know if you guys hear construction sounds. And if you do, I will lower, or close the door, I guess I was going to say lower the volume of the construction. I wish I could. Exhilarated while performing. Well, that's good. Once an item is made, it shows colors. Yeah, undyed leather doesn't show colors, right? You just made a cave fish leather dress from green tinted leather. Got it. Well, I can dye leather. I've got nothing against that. I'm just going to be less specific about it. I'm going to stick to cloth and yarn for this particular Forterino. Look at all these dwarves socializing and praying. The purple mood, by the way, means that this is like something that they'll remember. So it's something that's important to them. It's like a major event, I suppose, is like a good way to put it. You want to be with friends? Well, you have none, so you should make some friends, mate. Feel giddy while performing. Look at that. I recited the treasure and seal. Speaking of, sweaty poet. I wonder if you've... Man, this dwarf doesn't feel anything ever. What an upset dwarf. Doesn't feel anything. Doesn't feel anything. Just wants to fight and be with friends. What can be dyed? Cloth, thread, and leather. I don't think parchment can be dyed. There's a mod as well that lets you combine dyes with sand to make sandstone blocks that are colored, which I think is actually pretty cool. Double tapping YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, there you go. Appreciate you, mate. Gotta get that peak viewership. I'm just gonna wait until, I was gonna say drinks get a little lower, but I'm gonna wait until one of these two shifts up. Although actually, another thing I could do is I could wait until the number of dwarves with the purple thoughts goes down. Like this dwarf is satisfying that need by praying. Same with you. But basically, I'm going to remove this temple here and just get them in here for a little bit so they just socialize and make friends, hopefully. I mean, here, let me find it real quick. The mod that I spotted. I want to say it was just in... Yeah, it's Craftable Sandstone Dyed Edition. Yeah, it's this one. It likes you take 1 container of water, 1 bag of quicklime, 1 bag of sand, and 1 bag of plant dye, which makes 4 sandstone blocks colored with that dye color. Quicklime makes that hard, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Quicklime is one of those materials where I never actually know what it's made out of. I always have to look it up. It's like ash into quicklime, I think.